The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hey everybody, it's another week. I have so much to talk about and I hope you're ready for it. But before I begin, I just want to give a shout out to the 5 Points Jazz Fest. It happened this past Saturday and that was amazing. For those of you who don't know, 5 Points, it's now called Rhino, but 5 Points was known as, or it's still kind of known as the Harlem of the West. So it was really, really good to finally go to that area of Denver and to enjoy the jazz music. I got to see some amazing groups and even walked out with a CD. I also got to meet some of the people at Kuvo Jazz. That's our jazz station here in Denver. And they are known as the Oasis in the City. And that's very true. So kudos to the 5 Points Jazz Fest. Thank you so much. I had a blast and I'm looking forward to attending next year. So without further ado, let's get to the book portion. And I've got two books that I'm probably going to cuss, but not in a bad way, but in a fantastic way. So take the glasses off. You know, I know my doctor tells me I need these glasses, but it's really hard to see sometimes. So the first book I want to talk about is poetry. I love poetry. I've written poetry. I've gotten poetry published, and I try to enjoy poetry as much as possible. Poetry to me is like a song without the music in a way. Sorry, lingering from the cold. So this one particular book, if you can see it, it is titled Dreaming My Animal Selves, or Le Songe de mes animaux by Helene Cardona. This was actually 6 degrees of separation. One, let me just say, social media is a necessary evil. I have discovered so much. In fact, the items I'm going to talk about today were because of Instagram. I love Instagram very much. I follow artists and musicians and writers and book bloggers and just interesting people, you know, reaching out who are just showing off their talent and well deserved. But this book was an amazing read. I always say amazing, I know. But so first page on here, it says, this book was first written in English, then translated into French by the author so that it could be presented as a bilingual edition. And that is so, so true. So this book, the best way to put it is fantasy in the other world. The other world is real. And there are people who travel between this world and the other world, and they tell their stories. And it may come off as fiction or poetry, and maybe I'm kooky for believing it, but I do believe in the other world, very much so. And this book only strengthens my belief in the other world. Let me just read one of the poems to you. Let's see. So basically, the story behind this is it's a traveler of sorts, is what I'm assuming, and just the experiences that this traveler goes through. Yeah, here we go. This is the foreword. I'll just read it to you. Helene Cardona's Dreaming My Animal Selves is an intriguingly surreal journey through myth, legend, fantasy, and more, all guided by a shape-shifting narrator searching far and wide for cosmic unity within the discontinuous landscape of dream and the dreamy, fragmented quality of the everyday world. The dual language text works to heighten the narrator's shifting perceptions, symbol by symbol, vision by vision. Within the cornucopia of this collection, the narrator declares, quote, I travel corridors of mind, where the heart is a secret tower I inhabit, and I cut loose the end of sorrow. In a very real sense, Dreaming My Animal Selves is a book centered in joy, rooted firmly in the wildscape of the imagination. This was a fucking amazing read. And you know, I make sure that all my videos are not for kids, but I can't give higher props to this book. I just can't. I can't. The poetry in here, like I said, if you don't believe in the other world, this book will make you think really hard about that. So let me find. I mean, I pretty much loved all of the. Let's see. Oh, well, here we go. Okay. Oh, well, yeah, this is Inquisitive Life. I won't read the French because I can speak it, but my French is really rusty right now, so I'm just going to read the English because, you know, who really wants to hear me butcher French? I mean, vive la France. Inquisitive Life. My elfin world, lavish, submerged temple, where amid storms and rainbows, all is forgotten. The ocean heralds, when the colossal wave arises, the elephant will go on top of the giraffe, and you will know to breathe inside the hollow water. And it happens at the vernal equinox, even if it's hard to believe. Welcome to this world. I'm going to read one more. Let's see. Here we go. A mind like the sky. Go deep into the third eye, blue pearl, space between breaths, place of complete equilibrium, friend and stranger. Become one with God, alchemical moment. I hope I said alchemical. Yeah, that's right. Emotion marries intellect, mind and sky, builds overnight a house of earth, born from love, the clarity of being wanted so much, claims my truth. Guided by an invisible thread, become the spirit of the law, embrace the order. I could go on, but Dreaming My Animal Selves by Helene Cardona. This gets, of course, the highest award of Viridian Tea House, 5 pots of tea. Thank you so much, Helene. Merci beaucoup. And it's interesting that I follow her on Instagram, and I think she follows me too. I'm not sure, but I've reached out to her and just saying, you know, I love your work. I love your work. I love your work. I love it. And what's interesting is that the cover was done by Jackie Norris. Let me just make sure I get the name right. Let's see. Jackie Morris, excuse me, not Norris, Morris. And if you remember, I actually reviewed one of Jackie Morris's book on an earlier video. So if you see this cover and you're like, why does that look so familiar? That's because the artist was somebody that I reviewed earlier. But yes, Dreaming My Animal Selves by Helene Cardona receives 5 pots of tea from Viridian Tea House. Merci beaucoup. So, the next book. Let me just preface by saying, I love Colorado. I love living here. It has been quite a ride, and I have learned a lot of things about myself, and I've come to some very deep philosophical truths in moving here. And I feel better for it. Having said that, I'm always going to love New Orleans, always. And yes, while I did live there for a time and have visited since I was a child, I always thought to myself, yeah, you know, I'm going to visit and all that kind of stuff. But this book almost makes me want to move back. And I mean that seriously. I am talking about Ash Tuesday by Ariadne Blayde. Ash Tuesday. Excuse me just for 1 second. Got a notification here. Boop. There we go. Gotta love cell phones, folks. Anyway, this book was another fucking phenomenal read. And Ariadne, if you're watching this, I didn't want the book to end. And I complained to my boyfriend for several minutes, telling him I didn't want this to end. Followed with, you need to read this book now. Followed with, you ever think about moving to New Orleans? I mean, we got to deal with the hurricanes and everything, but you ever thought about maybe getting another house in NOLA? That'd be nice. This book, and I have to give a shout out to the folks at Blue Cypress Books. I consider y'all to be my friends, even though I no longer live in NOLA. I just remember I have to do this side note story. So when I lived there, dealing with a pandemic, and what the hell is going to happen day by day. On Sundays, that was my day to go to Rue de la Course and then to go to Blue Cypress Books and just wander around. And like I tell people, Blue Cypress Books is one of the coolest bookstores ever. They have the sweetest little kitty cat who just kind of walks around and, owns the bookstore. You have the people that work there and own the bookstore. And I remember every time I walk into the store, I never knew what I was going to hear. I never knew what book I was going to find or what book was going to find me. I never knew. It was always an adventure. And even though I moved out here, I still follow them on Instagram. So whenever they have events and book signings and whatever, I feel a little bit sad that I can't get in my car and just be there within 20 minutes, but I can still support them. Always support independent bookstores. Always, 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 always. So when they started talking about Ash Tuesday, and I looked it up and I went, shut up and take my money. No, really, just shut up and take my money. And so I waited and waited. There are very few books where I'm literally chomping at the bit to order. And Ash Tuesday was one of them. And I'm going to read the back of it for you. In New Orleans, the dead talk and the living listen. Giving ghost tours on the decaying streets of the French Quarter isn't exactly a high-profile career, but the guides at the Spirits of Yore haunted tours are too strange and troubled to do anything else. They call themselves Quarter Rats, a group of outcasts and dreamers and goths who gather in hole-in-the-wall bars to bicker, spin yarns, and search for belonging in the wee hours of the night after the tourists have staggered home. Through the ghost stories they tell, their own haunted lives come into focus. Like the city they call home, these tour guides are messy with contradiction. They suffer joyfully, live morbidly, and sin to find salvation. Weaving together real New Orleans folklore with the lives of 11 unforgettably vibrant characters, Ash Tuesday is a love letter to the city and the people, both dead and living, who keep its heart beating. With her debut, Blayde has carved out a deep and uber-readable interpretation of what it means to live, love, and grieve in America's last true bohemia. If you love books that talk about NOLA, if you like books that deal with ghosts, if you like books that have troubled yet real characters, Ash Tuesday is for you. This was a joy to read. And I do have to say a couple of things about this book. One, some of these people reminded me of friends back in NOLA. And I was like, wait, is that? And so much so with one character that I reached out to the author and I said, this character kind of reminds me of a friend of mine. Was that who it was based on? And she wrote back and she's like, no, but I can see the resemblance. And we kind of conversed a little bit through Instagram. But these characters feel so real. And I do want to give one shout out to one particular character, Angela. Out of all of the characters, Angela is the one that reminded me of me the most. I would be that one. And when you read Ash Tuesday, please email me. Email address is teagoddess74@gmail.com. Let me know if you think I'm Angela, because every time I read Angela, I was like, this is me, this is me, this is me, or this is the kind of person I would hang out with. I loved how at times this was a little painful to read, because I've known a lot of people who have visited New Orleans, and it ranges from, oh, that was so much fun, I drank and I showed my boobs and blah 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 blah, and yeah, okay, we're done. And then there are the people who say, oh my God, it was dirty, it was nasty, it smelled like piss, what the hell, I'm never going back, blah. The food was too rich, I just can't stand it. And then you have the other people that are like, I was walking through the quarter and I started hearing this woman singing in a weird kind of French. And then all of a sudden I found a help wanted sign. And then all of a sudden somebody told me that they had an apartment open. And then all of a sudden I found myself moving to La Nouvelle Orleans. And then and that's, with the first two, they go on the tours and they're like, oh, the ghosts and the spirits and the voodoo and all this kind of stuff. And the tour guides, they yuck it up, and they appear larger than life and all of that. And then when the tour is over and the guests go off to drink on bourbon or whatever, then you see the pain and you see how real these tour guides are. I don't know if I described it well enough, but I think there's some people that they get caught up in the magic and they're just like, oh, that was really great, wow. And then you have people that are caught up in the magic and then they see the other side and they say, that's the cool shit. That's the real shit I want to delve into further. I actually had a work friend of mine who recently went to New Orleans as a graduation present for herself and getting out of grad school. And she was asking me questions, what about this? What about this? And where to eat? Blah, 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 blah. And then she and I ended up working together one day. And I pulled her to the side and I told her stories of my experiences. And I'm like, I'm just going to be honest. This happened and this happened. And I saw this and I felt that. And she didn't bat an eye. She just smiled and she said, well, I am kind of sensitive to those kinds of things, so I'm going to let you know. And I'm like, okay. And I know that whatever she experienced down there, that she's going to tell me. She will. But anyway, I digress. I had to tell those certain kinds of stories because this book really affected me. Like, again, jokingly, I said, I almost want to move back. I almost do. And I've read quite a number of books that take place in New Orleans, and some of them are just like, oh, yeah, that was nice. But then others, like, this makes me think about the time when I used to just sit on the benches in front of the cathedral and just watch, be a flaneur. And I would wander the quarter and look at artwork and stumble onto something I'd never seen before and have certain things happen to me, or me witness certain things. Nothing bad, but just things that cannot be explained. But welcome to America's last true Bohemia. And Ash Tuesday is a phenomenal doorway into New Orleans. The real New Orleans. So, of course, 5 cups of tea for Ash Tuesday. I cannot speak. I can't go any higher with regards to praising this book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed her writing. And I hope, if you're watching this, I hope you have more books. I hope you will write more. You know, she almost kind of reminds me of Andy Reynolds. He wrote, oh goodness, dealing with the Axeman or the Jazz Axeman, and I reviewed his sequel. Actually, you know what? I'm about to hit the fourth wall, so just hang on one second. Okay, because I want to make sure that I have the right books. So the first one was called The Axe Boys Blues, The Agents of Volume 1. And then the sequel was called The Ballad of the Reverie Organ. So if you want a really good look into the soul of New Orleans, you need these three books. You do. You really do. But yes, Ash Tuesday was a phenomenal read. And I hope that she will write more. So thank you so much. All right, so let's get to the tea portion. Sorry about jumping up like that, but I was like, no, really, this is not going to go away. Just go ahead and get the books. They'll understand. So, so with the tea portion, let me start by saying, once again, thank you, Instagram, because without Instagram, I never would have heard about this tea company. I am talking about Wild Coast Brew. Check out the artwork on this tea canister. I mean, is that like the bomb.com or what? They hail from Myrtle Point, Oregon, and this particular one is called the Sage. Now, let me give you a little background. They have about 10, 12 different kinds of tea blends, but each one is associated with a different animal. There's raven, oh gosh, octopus, of course I remember the octopus, and of course, you know, the whale, but each one has a story. Each one has a story behind the animal and the actual tea. So this one, the Sage, the ingredients are fireweed, sage, lemon balm, rosemary, turmeric, ginkgo, and basil. This is going to be interesting. Now, let me just say for the record, this is the first time I've ever tried this tea from this company. So this is what the Sage looks like. I let it steep for about 6 minutes. Since this is an herbal tisane or an herbal tea, and actually I read an article where somebody got really upset that people who call herbal tisanes herbal teas, you can call it tea, you can call it tisane, but technically any blend that does not have Camellia sinensis is not considered to be tea, but a tisane. But I let this steep for about 6 minutes, and it's cooled down quite a bit. Excuse me, because I talked a lot about the books and cussed. So here we go in the Celestial Dragon tea mug. Let's give it a try. There's tea, and then there's, oh my God. This is amazing. This is good. No, this isn't good. This is excellent. And what's interesting is that I don't need any sugar or any kind of sweetener. So let me show you. This is what the actual blend looks like. Make sure I don't spill it on myself. I don't know if you can see it through the plastic, but that's what the Sage looks like. So when I opened the bag to brew it, this blend reminded me of walking through a very old forest, very old. And if you peered just at the right angle, you could see a body of water, whether it's a lake or an ocean, but there's definitely a body of water. This makes me want to make some, put it in a thermos, and just hike. I mean, in Colorado, they're all over the place, places to hike. But this, I'm noticing that with the aftertaste, it's still kind of sweet, little sweet plant vegetal, but it's not a gross, like, oh my God, I'm chewing on, grandma's plant. No, this is very refreshing, clean, like almost like you can use that as a natural mouthwash in a way. And that really sounds crude, but I'm trying to be honest here. This is a damn good cup of tea. To be honest, I'm not really familiar with the fireweed. I noticed that a lot of their blends have fireweed in them, so I'm wondering if that is the part of the tisane. But I'm getting the lemon balm and the turmeric, which is interesting because whenever I work with turmeric and previous tea blends, I try to be really just spare amounts because turmeric is pretty powerful. The rosemary, I'm not really getting that much, which is actually good. I do like rosemary to cook with. In terms of tea, again, like with the turmeric, I don't use it as much because it can be a little bit overpowering, but all of the ingredients flow. That's how it feels in drinking it. It's like this. That's how I feel right now. That's very much how I feel with this tea. Almost like being in the ocean and then turning and seeing this whale coming toward you and the water, the motion. That's how I feel. And it's not, and you don't feel afraid. You don't feel panicky. You just go with the whale and with the water and with the world all around you. That's how wow. Oh my gosh. This tea is amazing. Wow, this is, okay, Wild Coast Brew, get the sage. This is amazing. This is amazing. I raise my cup to you, Wild Coast. This is, yeah, again, I hate to keep being redundant, but my body just feels like this. I just feel very relaxed and very calm right now. This is excellent, excellent, excellent. Excuse me, I'm about to be really, there we go. So thank you so much, Wild Coast Brew, for the sage. I will be buying more of your blends and reviewing them as well. And again, also, much thanks to Ariadne Blayde for Ash Tuesday. Thank you so much. And also, merci beaucoup to Helene Cardona for dreaming my animal selves. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, well, I'm looking at the time and I'm like, wow, I talked a lot. So let's wrap up with a tea meditation, tea breathing meditation. Nothing fancy, as always. So you know the drill. Get your favorite cup of tea in your favorite mug and sit down, get into a comfortable position, and make sure that you're holding your mug with both of your hands. The 3 sips. Just take the first sip, roll it around in your mouth, and just swallow and just feel the ingredients. and see what pops up, what stays behind, what flows. The second and the third sips do the same thing. And as always, we're going to start with a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and we'll end with a deep breath through the nose and out the mouth. So get your teacups ready. Here we go. And welcome back. Thank you as always for watching these silly videos where I just talk and ramble, and somewhere in the middle of all that I talk about books that I've read and tea that I'm enjoying, and we meditate. But thank you so much as always, and can't wait to see you guys next week. But until then, take care of yourself and each other. Raise your teacup high and enjoy. That's really good. So until next time, take care. Bye. Oh, technology doesn't work.